Hi everyone, I hope you all are doing good. In a journey of learning web development, so far we've seen how to use HTML and CSS for developing static web pages and websites. When it comes to web development, there are three important things one should know, and that is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Today we're going to see what is this JavaScript and why it is needed for learning or for knowing it when it comes to web development. Before knowing what is the JavaScript, let us understand why do we need it. As we know that using HTML and CSS, we can develop and decorate and beautify our web pages. We have developed various static web pages using HTML. HTML itself was defined as it is used to develop static web pages. And what do you mean by static? Static means that there is no any life in that web page, right? It's simply for the user information, you're displaying some sort of content. So in short, we can say HTML is giving the structure to your web page. It is giving the structure to your content which you're going to display on your web page, right, in the browser. So simply, whatever you write in the HTML document get as it is displayed on your web page or on your browser. So this is the use of HTML, right? It is providing us static web pages. And CSS is beautifying those web pages, right? By giving colors, adding images, and various styling things in CSS, right? So we have seen how to develop the static web pages and how to decorate them and how to beautify them. But we have not seen how to make them work. How to make them work means how to make them dynamic, right? So JavaScript is a thing which will turn your static web pages into dynamic. So this is the very basic meaning, or you can say a very basic term, what does JavaScript does. When it comes to standard definition of JavaScript, it is a programming or a scripting language. And nowadays, it is a very popular and widely used scripting or programming language. Okay. Now, what is a programming language? A language is, by the name itself, we understand language is nothing but where you have to specify something, right? As we have, for example, as we speak, we have tons of languages in every part of the world, right? In different part of world, we have different languages. Similarly, for writing programs, for developing programs or any piece of software, we have different languages. And with the help of these languages, we can write a program or write a code. And JavaScript is one of them, right? Some of the features which have made JavaScript popular are that it is lightweight, it is open and cross-platform, so that it can be used across various platforms. And it thus contains OOPS concepts in it. Unlike Java and C#, the other languages which we have, which also are based on OOPS concept, JavaScript is also using OOPS concept. And how it is using it, we are going to see it. OOPS concept is nothing but it is based on objects and it is object-oriented programming language. HTML is static and it provides no mechanism for interactivity or for applying logic. So what does this sentence means is, let's see through an example. Now here is an web page with me, which is of Lorem Ipsum. This particular web page is showing lots of information about some content, okay, which we don't understand because it's simply for the demo purpose, right? So this particular web page is simply a static web page because we cannot do anything over here. As I told you before some time that HTML is used for development of static web page. So this particular web page is simply developed by using HTML. And I don't think much of CSS is also used over here, right? So this is how a static web page look, where the user cannot do anything over here, cannot change anything over here, cannot add or delete anything over here, but simply see it and get information, right? Whereas in some websites, if there is a feature which allows you to add something, to interact with that website or web page, then it is called as a dynamic web pages. For example, here is an example of another website which is showing you the clocks across the world, across various cities in the world. The clocks have been displayed. Okay, the time has been displayed. Now, if you see this particular time is getting moved, and how is this possible that it is showing exact time for every city, whichever has been added, right? How is this possible? It is possible because some sort of logic is implemented behind this. Some sort of code or some sort of program is written behind this that which is allowing it to capture the time for every city whichever has been added over here and display it over here, right? So this is not a static page, okay? For example, if I click on this particular thing, it open up some a new tab for me and it shows some other things, okay? So this is because it is a dynamic web page. So as you can see, it has given me some sort of drop downs where it is asking me locations, day, time, month, etc. And when I click on this show timetable, it is simply showing me timetable of that particular city. So how is this possible? How does particular button understand that after clicking on it, it has to bring some data based on the things which we have selected? This is being fulfilled, or this has been achieved by using languages, various languages. I'm not telling that this has been done with the help of JavaScript only. It might be some other language as well. As I told you, there are various languages, and JavaScript is one of them. So JavaScript is also used to make this sort of web pages which are static into dynamic, right? So now I think it is pretty much understandable, this particular sentence, that HTML is static and it provides no mechanism for interactivity and apply logic. Whereas as soon as you apply some programming language on it, or as soon as you use JavaScript, it's going to interact with you. The website is going to work, right? It will no longer remain static, but it will turn into dynamic. Now, some history about JavaScript. Netscape was first to invent JavaScript and they embedded it within their browser. JavaScript was also known as client-side scripting language widely at the beginning. Later on, it has also been used for developing server-side code, and both. JavaScript was actually known as LiveScript for the first time when it was developed, and later on, it was changed to JavaScript. With JavaScript, at the same time, there were other languages as well, like VBScript and so on. But JavaScript always remained the favorite for many of them because of its support for various browsers like Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Internet Explorer, and so on. And that's why it started gaining its popularity. Now, one of the very confusing thing which usually the beginners have, and that is what is Java and what is JavaScript, or what is the difference between both of them. So let me tell you, Java and JavaScript are two different terms and two different things. There is no relation between JavaScript and Java. JavaScript is not a part of Java community or anything. It's simply that Netscape browser was using some Java applets and therefore they kept the name as JavaScript. But when it was developed, it was lots of buzzing with it that JavaScript is actually very much related to Java or something like that, because they are having same name, same initials, right? But it is not at all like that. They are totally different from each other. And also, Java is compiled into an executable format before getting executed, whereas Java scripting is not compiled. It is directly interpreted and then at runtime, and then you can see the results. So, and that's also one of the meaning of scripting. Scripting usually means that the code, the source code has not been compiled, but it is directly interpreted at runtime. This is the major difference between Java and JavaScript, right? Similar to JavaScript and Java, there was also a confusion always remained in people, and that is the difference between JavaScript and ECMAScript. Now, unlike Java and JavaScript, ECMAScript and JavaScript do have some relation between them, and that is ECMAScript gives you standards and specifications about JavaScript. As it when JavaScript started gaining popularity, ECMAScript was been formed so that from time to time they would give you some specifications and standards about JavaScript. So in 1997, the first ECMAScript specification was released and then continued with 1998, 9, 2009, and 15. And from 2015, every year, annually, there is a specification, or this particular ECMAScript is releasing every year. So if I have to show you, you can see it in detail over here about how and when they have published or they have released the specification from time to time. As for example, in this particular year, they added regular expressions, they have added better string handling, control system, etc. If you see this 12th edition of 2021, you can see over here what was been added, or like they've written that they adopted this support for C-style structured program. Previously, it was only function scoping using keyword var, but later on, from 2015, they added the keywords like let and const. So this is how every year the specifications get released. Some of the other advancement is done and that has been released. And this particular thing is called as ECMAScript. So this is the difference between JavaScript and ECMAScript, right? Moving forward, some important things about JavaScript. During this video, I was again and again telling that JavaScript is client-side scripting or client-side programming language, right? And is used to make static web pages into dynamic. Of course, that is true. But with client-side scripting, that means with browser, it is also being used to run in Node. That means JavaScript can be run inside a browser and also outside a browser. And we are executing JavaScript outside a browser with the help of Node. We'll surely see how to use JavaScript in both the places, in the browser and outside the browser, that is in Node, and how to write a program there in a further videos. What can you build using it? Various things you can develop using JavaScript, and some of them are mobile applications, real-time networking applications, games, so on and so forth. You cannot imagine JavaScript will benefit you a lot. Learning JavaScript will help you to become a front-end, a back-end, and a full-stack developer as well. In our coming videos, we're going to see OOPS concepts which are implemented in JavaScript, because it will help you a lot to understand further, and it will become easy for us for programming in JavaScript. And also we're going to see libraries like jQuery, frameworks like Angular and React in JavaScript further. Hope you have enjoyed this introductory part of JavaScript. and you'll find very much interesting and fun learning JavaScript further. So for getting notified, do subscribe. See you in the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.